The first confrontation and the plagues begin after his long journey. Moses, with his brother Aaron by his side, stands before Pharaoh. They deliver God's message, "Let my people go, so that they may hold a festival to me in the wilderness." But Pharaoh, the most powerful man on earth, scoffs at them. "Who is the Lord that I should obey him?" He refuses their request, and, to punish the Israelites for even asking, he makes their lives even harder. He orders them to no longer be given straw for brickmaking. They must now find it themselves, but still produce the same number of bricks. The Israelite foremen, beaten for not meeting the impossible quota, cry out to Moses, blaming him for their suffering. Disheartened, Moses turns to God and asks, "Why have you brought this trouble on your people?" God responds with a powerful promise, telling Moses that he will now act with a mighty hand, showing Pharaoh his true power. To prove God's authority, Moses and Aaron return to Pharaoh. Aaron throws his staff to the ground, and it miraculously becomes a snake. Pharaoh, unimpressed, calls on his own wise men and sorcerers. They cast down their staffs, which also become snakes. But in a stunning twist, Aaron's snake devours all of theirs. Still, Pharaoh's heart is hardened, and he refuses to listen. So, the first plague arrives. At God's command, Aaron strikes the Nile River with his staff, and all the water turns to blood. The fish die, and the river stinks, making it undrinkable. But Pharaoh's magicians are able to replicate this trick with their secret arts, and Pharaoh, believing he is still in control, once again refuses to let the people go. 7 days later, the second plague begins. The land is swarmed with countless frogs. They cover everything: the fields, the homes, even the beds and ovens. Pharaoh is so desperate he calls for Moses and Aaron, promising to let the people go if they make the frogs leave. But when Moses prays and the frogs all die, Pharaoh changes his mind. His heart is hardened yet again. The third plague follows, a plague of gnats. Aaron strikes the dust, and it turns into gnats that infest both people and animals. This time, Pharaoh's magicians try to replicate the miracle but fail. They admit to Pharaoh, "This is the finger of God." Even with this powerful admission, Pharaoh's heart remains unmoved. With his heart still hardened, Pharaoh forces God to send for more plagues. The fourth plague is a swarm of flies that invades the entire land of Egypt, crawling into every home and contaminating everything. But there's a key detail: the flies do not enter the land of Goshen, where the Israelites live. It's a clear line drawn by God. Pharaoh offers a compromise, but when the flies are gone, he goes back on his word. Then comes the fifth plague. A terrible pestilence strikes the Egyptian livestock. Horses, donkeys, camels, cattle, sheep, and goats all die in the fields. But once again, not a single animal belonging to the Israelites is harmed. Pharaoh sends someone to check, and when he finds it's true, his heart remains as stubborn as ever. Next, Moses and Aaron take handfuls of soot from a furnace and toss it into the air. The dust spreads across the land, causing painful, festering boils to erupt on every Egyptian, on both people and animals. The pain is so severe that Pharaoh's own magicians can no longer stand before Moses. This time, the narrator tells us that it is God who hardens Pharaoh's heart, sealing his fate. The seventh plague is a storm of fire and ice. God sends a terrifying mixture of thunder and hailstones so heavy that they flatten everything in their path. It's a biblical disaster movie. The only crops that survive are the ones that have not yet sprouted. Pharaoh, terrified, finally seems to break, pleading with Moses to stop the hail. He promises to let the people go, but as soon as the storm ends, he immediately goes back on his word. The eighth plague is an army of locusts. Moses warns Pharaoh that these locusts will cover the ground so completely that no one will be able to see it, and they will devour every single remaining plant and fruit in the land. Pharaoh's own officials beg him to let the people go, but he refuses. The locusts descend, blackening the sky and eating everything green in sight. The final warning comes in the form of darkness. A thick, palpable darkness covers all of Egypt for 3 days, so thick that people can't even move from where they are. But in every home of the Israelites, there is light. The contrast is stark. Pharaoh makes a final offer: "Go, but leave your flocks and herds behind." Moses refuses, saying not a single hoof will be left behind. With that, Pharaoh orders Moses out and threatens to kill him if he ever sees his face again. Moses tells him he will not see his face again. He then delivers a final, chilling prophecy: a final plague is coming, one that will make every previous plague look like nothing. A plague that will finally break Pharaoh's will and set the Israelites free.